الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان صدق الله العظيم.
Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to please raise for the national anthem. Before formally starting the conference, I request Lieutenant General Sarfaraz Sattar and Executive Director SVI, Dr. Naeem Ahmed Salik, to please come on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and assalamu alaikum. This is Amber Afreen Abid, and I welcome you all on the two-day national conference on strategic stability in South Asia, regional security, and global dynamics. This two-day conference brings together an exceptional gathering of eminent policymakers, seasoned scholars, and promising young professionals to deliberate on some of the most pressing challenges to global and regional peace and security. Over the course of sessions, we will explore critical themes, including the implication of the second nuclear age on the South Asian strategic thought, the enduring relevance and contestation of deterrence and stability in the region, contemporary debates on arms control, non-proliferation, and the impact of emerging and disruptive technologies. And importantly, the risk of nuclear escalation and the role of confidence building measures in mitigating crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, a unique feature of this conference is the inclusion of the breakout sessions, which will allow participants to move beyond theory and engage in structured, solution oriented discussions. These interactive deliberations, guided by experienced mentors, aim to generate concrete recommendations that can enrich Pakistan's policy discourse and contribute to broader regional stability. For Pakistan, this conference is not merely an academic exercise, but a critical platform to reaffirm the rationale of its nuclear policy, highlight its commitment to responsible stewardship, and propose practical measures for risk reduction and peace building within an increasingly complex global environment. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin with the conference, I hope this will be a journey of reflection and exchange. I invite you all to contribute openly, critically, and constructively. Together, let us shape insights that strengthen the strategic stability in South Asia and offer pathways towards a more secure and peaceful future. Thank you. Now, I would like to request Dr. Naeem Ahmed Salik for the introductory remarks. Sir Salik is currently serving as the Executive Director of Strategic Vision Institute, Islamabad. He has taught at the Quaid-e-Azam University, National Defense University, and Air University, Islamabad. He has been a visiting scholar at the School of Advanced International Studies at Johns Hopkins University and a guest scholar at the Brookings Institution, Washington, D.C., besides being a visiting fellow at the Stanford University and Stimson Center. He has previously served as Director for Arms Control and Disarmament Affairs at the Strategic Plans Division. His areas of expertise include South Asian security, with special reference to Indian and Pakistani policies on nuclear and missile issues. He has published 4 books, including 2 edited volumes, several monographs, and book chapters. His published work also includes over 40 research articles. Sir, I please request you to give the introductory remarks.
Thank you, Amber. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and Assalamu alaikum. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to this national conference being organized by the Strategic Vision Institute. This is a 2-day event, and we have on alternate years we have this national conference and the international conference. So this year it was the national conference. Next year, inshallah, we'll have the Islamabad Non-Proliferation Conference as we had last year. It's a great pleasure for me to see so many people here in the morning session. Normally, morning sessions are not very well populated, but I think this conference has already generated a lot of interest. The peculiar feature of this conference, as Amber also alluded to, is that we want to involve the participants in the discussion debate. We do not want to have the monologue. For that, on both days we have post-lunch sessions, breakout sessions in which the participants would be divided into 2 groups, and they will discuss various topics. And at the end of that, they will come up with their recommendations and the summary of their deliberations. So we feel that that will make the conference more useful, not only for the participants but for the organizers as well, because we'll get very useful inputs on that. I am not going to say much on the topic because I am going to speak again in the first session. This is a very timely subject because we have recently seen the conflict between India and Pakistan, and there are a lot of implications of that which we will have opportunities to discuss. And I am sure we are going to have a very healthy discussion and debate, and it will benefit all of us. Will learn from each other. Now I hand over the mic back to Amber for further announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today. We are honored to have Lieutenant General Sarfaraz Sattar, a prominent figure in Pakistan's strategic landscape and an advisor to the National Command Authority. Lieutenant General Sarfaraz Sattar was commissioned in Armored Corps in 1984. He is a graduate of Command and Staff College, Quetta, Egyptian Staff College, Cairo, and National Defense University, Islamabad. He holds a diploma in Arabic language. He has varied experience of instructional command and staff assignments. His career in the army, which spanned 38 years, was marked by command of his parent regiment, the command of an infantry brigade in North and South Waziristan during Operation Rahe-Najat, followed by his appointment as Defense and Army Advisor at New Delhi from India from 2010 to 13. On promotion and repatriation from India, he was appointed Director General Military Intelligence in GHQ from 2013 to 2015. During this period, MI remained in the lead in the Operation Zarb-e-Azb throughout the length and breadth of the country, restoring peace and bringing normalcy to the internal security situation in Pakistan. He then commanded an infantry division along with the working boundary of India during the time of Uri crisis. This was followed by command of a strike corps of Pakistan Army, and his last assignment was Director General Strategic Plans Division, during which period he saw through the Pulwama crisis before his premature retirement in December 2019. He has since taken up responsibilities as an advisor to the National Command Authority. Sir, I am please request you for the keynote remarks.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dr. Naeem Salik, Executive Director, SVI, DG ACDA, Major General Shahab, Ambassador Sohail, Ambassador Khalid, academicians, researchers, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning. Today's conference on strategic stability in South Asia and its linkage with regional and global security dynamics has come about at a time when we have seen security challenges in various regions transcending from subconventional to conventional and full-blown military conflicts, which have cascading effect in various regions. As we have seen, particularly the challenges in the Middle East have crept to our western borders, and on our east, the hubris-driven right-wing Indian government has shown propensity to flex its muscles despite the presence of nuclear deterrence. So, to say the least, strategic stability, which is defined as a condition where neither nuclear armed states perceive any advantage in initiating conflict due to assured retaliatory capabilities, remains in precarious state in South Asia amid asymmetric conventional forces and recurring escalatory episodes. From Pakistan's vantage, this stability is undermined by India's doctrinal shifts towards aggressive postures such as the cold start doctrine, the proactive operation strategy, or the dynamic operation strategy, or the so-called new normal, which compels Pakistan to maintain full spectrum deterrence, encompassing tactical, operational, and strategic nuclear options with triad of forces to offset India's numerical superiority in conventional arms. Pakistan's nuclear posture adheres to credible minimum deterrence, reserving the right to respond to existential threats, including large-scale conventional incursions. Ladies and gentlemen, at the cost of digression, let me state here that the May 2025 conflict triggered by a militant attack in Pahalgam on the 22nd of April, which resulted in killing of 27 tourists, was baselessly blamed on Pakistan by the BJP government without carrying out any investigation or without presenting any proof. It may be pertinent here to point out, one, that throughout their struggle in the illegally occupied Indian Jammu and Kashmir, the freedom fighters have never targeted civilians, especially tourists, to whom their economies are tied. Two, carrying out such actions deep inside illegally occupied Indian Jammu and Kashmir, some 250 to 300 kilometers inside in deeply forested areas, does not end up with the narrative of cross-border incursion. And three, the incident bears great similarity to a similar incident in 1995 when a so-called unknown terror group, Al-Faran, abducted some foreign tourists or some foreign mountaineers who were visiting the area. Later, this was proved that it was the handiwork of Indian intelligence to blame Pakistan for terrorism. Okay, coming back, ladies and gentlemen, the May 2025 India-Pakistan crisis exemplifies how non-state actors or perpetrators of such act can catalyze instability, with India hastily attributing blame to Pakistan despite total lack of evidence, as I said earlier, and linking the attack to so-called state-sponsored groups. India's Operation Sindoor on May 7th involved IAF aircraft using Scalp EG missiles and BrahMos cruise missiles targeting alleged terror sites in Azad Jammu and Kashmir and in Punjab, resulting in civilian casualties, which is a clear violation of Pakistan's sovereignty. Pakistan's calibrated response, that is downing in the Indian aircraft by the PF and by advanced air defense systems, drone strikes and short-range ballistic missile launches like Fatah, demonstrated resolve in restoring deterrence without immediate escalation to nuclear levels. The four-day clash ended in the US-brokered ceasefire on May 10th. This highlighted the nuclear shadow. While overt signaling was muted compared to the 2019 Balakot crisis, US intelligence flagged Pakistani and Indian ballistic missile preparations, raising fears of inadvertent escalation. From Islamabad's perspective, India's strikes on some of our air bases near sensitive sites tested red lines, reinforcing perceptions of New Delhi's risk-tolerant posture under the guise of surgical operations. In the end, this misadventure saw India's face badly bruised, her image shattered, and her hubris checked. But all this pushed our two nations closer to nuclear thresholds. The event highlighted the erosion of traditional deterrence mechanisms, with both sides employing emerging technologies like the UAVs and all kinds of missiles, and also through cyber operations. The post-conflict stability is undermined, with India justifying its actions as preemptive counter-terrorism or not being bowed by so-called nuclear blackmail, and Pakistan viewing the strikes as violation of its sovereignty and risking nuclear escalation. Analysts may describe the current state as fragility of stability. The stability-instability paradox persists, as the Indian or the BJP government may like to perceive or believe that nuclear weapons deter full-scale war, but there is space for sub-threshold provocations like limited cross-LOC and cross-border strikes, the propensities for which have been shown by them since 2016. Whereas, as far as Pakistan is concerned, there is dangerous perception that attendant risk of uncontrolled escalation leading to nuclear confrontation and catastrophe. Thus, our firm belief that there is no space for war. The May 2025 crisis not only disrupted trade and air routes, but have also resulted in suspension of internationally brokered, recognized, and irreversible water sharing agreement, the Indus Water Treaty. Globally, South Asia's instability has far-reaching consequences, as nuclear exchange could devastate the region and far beyond. As far as nuclear deterrence is concerned, the crisis demonstrated that it remained effective, imposing limits on the conflict and a desire by both sides to see an end to it. One thing, however, can be said, and that is that with the advent of emerging technologies, the nature of conflict has changed. Looking ahead, the 2025 crisis is likely to reshape nuclear strategic thinking in Pakistan towards greater emphasis on escalation dominance at the lower rungs. Doctrinally, it may reinforce a reliance on tactical nuclear weapons to plug gaps in conventional deterrence, countering India's proactive strategies and reducing the window for international intervention. This could entail investment in sea-based deterrence, like the submarine-launched ballistic missiles to enhance triad robustness and mitigating vulnerabilities to Indian counter-force strikes. However, such postures risk fueling a destabilizing arms spiral, as India demonstrated unwillingness to be cowed by nuclear signaling evident in its air-base attacks despite Pakistani short-range ballistic missile threats. This may embolden New Delhi to refine limited war options under the nuclear overhang. From Pakistan's lens, this necessitates a re-evaluation of non-proliferation and arms control norms. While adhering to the NSG guidelines informally, Islamabad would be well advised to advocate for equitable arms control regimes and address India's non-NPT status and growing fissile material stocks rather than unilateral constraints. As without such steps and as long as thresholds are not breached, we may see much more destruction in any future showdown than previously perceivable. As far as bilateral arms control is concerned, it has also received a setback as it has become minimal and may even be eroding. Both sides continue to pursue technologies like the MIRV and sea-based deterrence, with India moving towards canisterization, anti-satellite weapons, and longer range and hypersonic missiles, all of which have been enabled with their entry into the MTCR regime. It seems there is no likelihood of restraint. Rather, introduction of emerging technologies like the AI and cyber tools have blurred the offensive-defensive lines and raised accidental nuclear escalation risks. For example, risks of cyber intrusion into various command systems, etc. The risk reduction measures post 2025 must prioritize de-escalation protocols to bolster strategic stability. Pakistan has also long proposed confidence-building measures such as the strategic restraint regime, the hotline enhancements, and inclusion of cruise missiles in the pre-notification of missile test agreements. But the collapse of the 2021 LOC ceasefire underscore their inadequacy. Future efforts could also include dialogues on nuclear risk reduction centers and restraints on development and introduction of destabilizing technologies like hypersonic or ABM systems. Though this time international actors, particularly the US, proved pivotal in averting catastrophe through back-channel diplomacy, later repeatedly claimed by President Trump to India's discomfort. Yet, Pakistan cautions against asymmetric non-proliferation pressures that ignore India's arsenal expansion, which could erode deterrence credibility. Interplay between deterrence and strategic stability reveals a core tension. Deterrence through assured retaliation preserves the status quo, but does not inherently foster stability. If crises recur without conflict resolution mechanisms. In South Asia, Pakistan's full-spectrum deterrence effectively deters Indian hegemony but perpetuates instability by incentivizing vertical proliferation as well as showing propensity for risk-taking amid unresolved disputes like Siachen, Sir Creek, and Kashmir. The 2025 clash affirmed deterrence role in capping escalation. Neither side crossed the nuclear thresholds, despite intense conventional exchanges, but it weakened stability by highlighting doctrinal asymmetries and the perils of inadvertence. True stability demands moving beyond mutual vulnerability towards arms control dialogues that cap arsenals and resolve underlying conflicts, lest recurring clashes normalize nuclear brinkmanship. Coupled with the above are the political rhetorics on both sides, like the announcement of the creation of an ABM shield covering the whole of India by 2030 by Mr. Modi during his Independence Day speech from the Red Fort on the 15th of August 2025, or the announcement of creation of an army rocket force by Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, confusing own policy makers and opponents alike as to the effects it may have on our deterrence posture. Now, answers to questions like this, or those like what does India hope to achieve from its vertical nuclear buildup? What are the national objectives it seeks to pursue by this buildup? Or how would this advance her interest in the region and globally? That is, what are its grand strategic aims and ends? And finally, what options do we have to respond? These are some of the questions we will look forward to seek answers to from this two-day packed conference. The risk of future escalation are high, ladies and gentlemen, driven by unresolved disputes, arms races, technology disruptions, and changed norms post May 2025, where high kinetic skirmishes seems more feasible, but nuclear thresholds are lowered owing to risk of unintended nuclear use, which could be triggered by cyber attacks or border clashes or mistaken or inadvertent targeting of nuclear command and control centers or systems or delivery means or even weapon systems. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, from Pakistan's perspective, the 2025 crisis underscores the imperative of balanced deterrence while pursuing verifiable risk reduction measures to achieve enduring strategic stability. Absent such measures, South Asia risks a cycle of instability where deterrence hold, but at an ever higher cost to regional security. Ladies and gentlemen, in the end, let me wish all the best to the organizers, the moderators, and the participants of the conference for a fruitful and productive two-day debate, which can give us some thought-provoking ideas and stimulate our minds towards some meaningful solutions to improving the stability in South Asia. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your invaluable remarks. Now I request the moderators, the speakers, the SPI team, and our worthy chief guest to please gather for a group photo. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 10 minutes tea break and we'll gather back at 10:45, please.